Here we have a Toshiba satellite L500, and it has the most interesting problem. It turns on and then it turns off randomly at any given time. Sometimes it does it in the beginning, sometimes later. It's very strange. I haven't seen this problem before, so let's see if we can pinpoint the problem. I've got the power adapter connected to a power supply, which shows me the amperature being pulled. So let's have a look on the screen what happens to the power source when power is plugged in. So we can see the battery charging. So let's try and turn it on. And screen comes on. But I noticed something interesting happening on the power supply. It is randomly shorting on and off, and computer turns off as well as soon as you turn it back on. It's a very strange behavior. You can see the lights flickering there, telling me that a component on the motherboard is definitely faulty. So let's remove the battery and see if the problem repeats itself. The client said that it may be a battery problem. We're not sure. Let's have a look. So now we plug the power cable in. Of course it turns white because no battery in there to recharge. So let's see what happens to the power adapter. And you can see shorting happening randomly. It just comes and goes. It's really hard to say if it is a battery or not, as I suspect we may need to dig a little deeper. And it has turned on and staying on longer than before, so it's really weird behavior. And I don't see any liquid damage, which I suspect may have caused this. I'm not sure, but the user have not said anything about liquid damage. So I'm going to try turn it off and on a few times to see if the problem repeats itself, and I'll find that the system is not turning on anymore. Turns on and then off all of a sudden, as you can see the amp being pulled, and then it goes off. So it's very weird behavior. So let's go ahead and start to disassemble the unit and isolate component by component. See if you can pinpoint to a specific component, like one of the connected devices, which will make it easier if you can isolate one. Otherwise we may have to investigate further into the motherboard and see what the fault is. And initially inspecting the board, I don't see anything that's obvious, such as a burn or liquid spill or anything of that sort. No bad smells. Everything looks good. I decided to take the hard drive out in this case to see if there is any difference. With the multimeter, I decided to have a look around the board, see if all the basic voltages are there, such as 19 volts, 5 volts, 3.3, etc. And they were all present, so we can pass that. And none of the areas were getting hot, obviously because no amp is being pulled, but just to see if any easily identifiable chip was getting hot. Nope, everything looked good. So it's time to slowly, one by one, remove some of the components, see if we can figure out if any of them is causing this issue. Now with the hard drive disconnected, the problem seemed to be going away. So when I turn it on, we can see the fan spinning and the LCD is actually on and the power is coming in, staying steady. So it's pulling in 0.9 amps. It's not doing much, it's just at the BIOS screen, I think. And then it made me believe that it could be just the hard drive or the 12 volts or 5 volts going to the power supply of the hard drive. But 5 volts is already used by the fan, for example, and there are many other components such as the USB port also using 5 volts. So it's hard to say that hard drive is the culprit, or the power supply to the hard drive is the culprit. So it's an early guess, but we're still investigating at this stage. So I've decided to put back the original hard drive to see if the problem repeats itself, because this is one of those really strange ones. You have to catch it as it happens. You can sort of see the shorting happen for a millisecond and then go. So it's really strange. I then got another hard drive, a temporary hard drive, to see if the same behavior happens with the this hard drive plugged in. If it does happen, that tells me the hard drive is not the cause, but something else on the board. So we're in the process of elimination at this stage. And as you can see the shorting light blinking for a second or millisecond and then going away. There we go, it's happening a lot there, as you can see. It's like a storm coming and going, you have to catch it. So definitely the problem is elsewhere. Let's dig deeper. So I've decided to pull the board apart, at the same time do testing as I go, and see if I can pick up anything obvious. With the motherboard removed, I still cannot see anything that's faulty or obvious to the eye, so I'm gonna dig deeper. Hopefully I can find something. Now we got the board out, we can easily work on the benchtop and do more testing here. Now I've got a hard drive connected as well, and I'm going to have a look under a thermal camera to see if I can pick up anything when the computer is turned on. Now having a look at it under the thermal cam, it's really hard to see anything getting hot. We're looking for something to get hot while the power cable is plugged in, or while it's turned on, something reaching, above 60-70 degrees. That's unusual, but we're not interested in anything that's getting hot, as it normally does get hot when it's turned on. So we're trying to pinpoint a specific chip or component that is faulty. As you can see, these temperatures are all normal, so nothing to find here or fault here, so we need to keep investigating. And the system won't even turn off or do any of the shorting like it used to when it's out of the assembly. So this tells me that maybe on the laptop itself, when it's inside, maybe it's shorting with something. But I'm not sure yet. Maybe one of the other daughter components, daughter boards, like the trackpad or the USB connectors on the right side, or the LED button indicators in the bottom left. Something else is causing it to short, but I'm not sure what is. One thing I did notice is when the LCD ribbon cable is not connected, the system does not shut down or short at all. Even after numerous turning on and off manually, it just wouldn't short. So that gave me a hint it could be something to do with the LCD screen or the lvds cable, or maybe the 19 volts going into the screen or 18 volts is the MOSFET powering it may be faulty. So this is getting more tricky. So I'm going to connect the LVDS cable now, and we'll have a look at the power source shortly, and you can see what happens as soon as I turn it on. It's starting to short again. So that tells me something to do with the screen or power related to the screen. Next, I decided to have a look at the screen itself and maybe swap the screen out with another model to see if the same problem exists. Now, I don't have the same 15.6-inch slim 30-pin left in stock, but I do have a 14-inch or a bit smaller one, 13.3. Same connector, same power, and let's see what happens with that one. So now we've got here a alternative screen to do testing, and let's see what happens with this. We're gonna turn it on and off a few times, and let's see if it gets shorting. Now this may use less power than the other one because it's a smaller screen, so it's really hard to say it is the screen problem, because if I had a exact or a same 15.6 inch slim 30 pin model available, then I can do proper testing. Now this one uses maybe slightly less power, so it's not shorting, it's turning on and off fine. Normally we see the shorting happen as soon as we turn it off, and it's just not happening here. So this led me to believe at this stage something wrong with the power controller for the LCD screen, either on the motherboard or the LCD screen end. To make things easy, I decided to have a look at the screen end first. So I decided to disassemble the screen to a certain degree. Now I've never had to repair LCD screens, so it will be a nice idea, a good idea to have a look at the, I believe it's the inverter or controller on the bottom of the LCD. So I'll show you how you can disassemble yours if you ever need to, and see if you can identify any faults. Here is our LCD screen. So we're going to remove that black plastic protector film on the bottom side, which is covering the long PCB board. So let's have a look at it. It's cheaper to just buy a new screen than repair something like this. So I really don't know what to look out for. Hopefully it's something simple. So I'm also going to put this under thermal cam to see if I can pick up anything. It's really hard to see anything faulty on this chip either, having inspected it visually and also under the microscope camera and the thermal camera. I don't believe I found anything in this. Now we're going to look at it under the thermal camera of the PCB board under the LCD screen and see if anything pops up. Obviously, hopefully something does. Unfortunately, everything looked quite normal, so I'm going to pass this as a test. I'm going to pass this as a success, meaning there is actually no fault on the PCB board. The problem is most likely the motherboard, and I doubt it's the cable itself, because if there was a fault in the cable, it will always stop working, not just sometimes. So I realized the only way to test this is try and capture it in real life. Now my thermal cam does not allow me to look at it at a large distance, at a big height. So it's going to be a quite awkward situation. I'm going to have the whole laptop running with the lid open and the LCD cable connected to the original screen and see if I can repeat the problem. And that's the goal, and hopefully we can. And then we can identify the chip that's causing this issue. So I've got the system powered on, and as you can see it's shorting, and it's happening randomly, so I need to somehow get it happen longer periods so I can detect it under the camera. So I'll try and put the camera on now to the thermal cam, and we'll have a look at it together. And I don't have schematics for this, I didn't have time to have a look at that, thinking this is something simple. And let's have a look. Hopefully we can see something. I'll bring up the thermal camera up shortly. Here we go. So we're looking around, looking for something obvious to pop up. And I think we may have found something. I think so. As you can see, it's reaching 60 plus degrees. This isn't normal, so I'm trying to identify which chip it is. The image is a little bit off, but I think I know what it is. It looks like a MOSFET, and it's under the heat pipe for the heatsink, which I think is a bad place for MOSFETs to be under. It shouldn't be exposed to large temperatures. And so I'm going to try and repeat the problem. Hopefully that particular chip is what's at fault. It's looking quite obvious, and I can only see this when the LCD cable is plugged in and laptop is turned on, and that's what's powering the LCD screen, I suspect. So I'm gonna try and find the pins that connect from the LCD power cable and see if they actually go to this chip or another chip. So here is the chip under the microscope camera, that particular one there, and that is actually a MOSFET. That's a gate, source and drain, and I suspect it's what's linked to the lvds cable power connection. I'll get the multimeter out and do a testing on that. Sorry about the camera work here, it's out of focus, but I've actually with the multimeter in continuity mode. Of course, power disconnected. Check the pin from that MOSFET to the LVDS connection, and bang, it made the beep telling me that the line is directly connected to the LVDS cable connector to the screen. So as soon as the screen powered on, this MOSFET was driving and it got really hot, and there is a short somewhere on the MOSFET, and so unfortunately we're not going to replace that chip because the owner of the laptop is only interested in the data recovery, and laptop is not worth to fix. But that is the fault, most likely. So all this work that I did here, of course we didn't get paid. It's to give a quotation, but at least we can publish a video on it for everyone else to benefit. And like and subscribe the video, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to support this channel.